Hey guys, welcome to this LindaFit Pilates lunge workout. So we know that there are all different types of lunges. We see lunges to the front, lunges to the back, to the side. We see people using weights with lunges. So today we're going to learn 6 basic lunges, and they're going to be mostly dynamic stretching lunges and strengthening lunges. Okay? No weights, just body weight. So let's learn how to do them well. You're also going to have a little bit of a cardio workout here as we're going to move through the lunges. This will also give you a sense of how well you move through the different planes of movement, okay? And I'll explain that as we go along. So just make sure you have a clear space. So the very first lunge we have is an anterior lunge. I'm going to do it simply. I step forward, I step back. Now I do it with my other leg. I step forward, I step back. When you step forward, you make sure that your knee is right over your foot, right? It's bending, and your head is right over your pelvis. So I step forward, I step back. I step forward, I step back. When you step forward, right, see this hip is bending, and the other hip, now this one, is stretching. So part of it is how well I can bend my front hip that's moving forward and stretch the hip that is still supporting me. Do you see it? So the leg that moves forward wants to bend at the hip, and the leg that stays back needs to stretch at the hip. All right, so that's our anterior lunge. Now, if we do an anterior lunge, we can do a posterior. Okay, remember, stand tall, gaze forward. Don't look down. Now, posterior lunge, I'm going to start with my right leg. It's going to step back, and it steps forward, and it steps back, and I step forward. When you step back, now the hip that's standing or not moving has to bend, while the other hip is extending, moving behind. Right, so those two things have to happen to do the move well. I have to bend, crease at this hip, and then the leg that's moving back has to extend, right, and strengthen to the back. You see it? Also make sure when you step back that your toes are still on the floor, that you're not turning out your leg, right? So you see how my toes are here? They're curled up and my heel is lifted. I'm not turning out or starting to open my hip. That's a classic mistake in the posterior lunge. All right, so that's posterior. Now we're going to do a same side lateral lunge. That means just a lunge to the side. So now I'm going to step to my right, knee over foot, I come back to center. And now I step to my left, knee over foot, I come back to center. So same side lunge. And now to the other side. When you lunge, think of your pelvis moving with your legs. So the pelvis, the spine, everything is moving laterally, right? So often when we do these lunges, we need to think about that. Rather than just move your foot out to the side, you think of your pelvis, your entire spine moving. And it's important that the knee stays over the foot. And when you step to one side, the opposite foot grounds. It doesn't start to lift, right? It stays grounded. So some of this is a test of how flexible we are and open in parts of our hips. You see it? Side to side. All right, so now we're going to learn how to do a cross lunge to the opposite side. So we did same side lunge, lateral lunge to the same side. I can take this leg and I can step across and I can step back. And now I can take my other leg and I can step it across and back. So it's a cross lunge to the opposite side. And sometimes we see this in our workouts. We call it the curtsy pose, right? So we're going to side lunge cross, side lunge cross. And again, think as you side lunge that your pelvis goes this way, then your pelvis goes that way. And that will help you. And you're stepping across into the side and across into the side, across into the side. Let your knee bend. It's still over the foot. And again, we still keep that upright, head over the pelvis, cross lunge, and cross lunge, back to center. All right, so now we get to our final set of lunges, which have more of a rotation. So I'm standing here. This side is going to move, and we're going to rotate to the same side. Think about that. So this leg is going to step back. We call this a same side rotation. right? And now I come back. Now this side is going to move, and it's the same side rotation to this side, okay? So we're going to rotate and rotate. And for you anatomy lovers, we call this external rotation of this support hip, the one that doesn't move. So as I step right, my opposite hip externally rotates. You see it? So I rotate to the same side, rotate to the same side. And the hip that doesn't move, that stays in place, is going through something called external rotation. So this will again test how well you move through that. And you see how my whole spine is also moving, my pelvis. It's rotating with the hip. So make sure that you're not just moving your leg, that everything is turning, and then your support leg stays grounded, right, as you turn. All right, so that's external rotation, and it's rotation to the same side. So if I can rotate to the same side, I can clearly take this side and rotate to that side, my opposite side. And we're going to do that now, and that's going to be called internal rotation of the support hip, the one that doesn't move. Okay, this is a little anatomy in here. So I'm going to step forward, and I step back. That's internal rotation to the opposite side. So now I step the other leg, and I step it back. So I take my right leg, I rotate to the other side. Now my left leg is going to rotate to my right side. And the stance leg is going to stay in place, and we say that that hip is internally rotating. So again, these lunges are fun, and they're great because they allow us to move in all the different planes of motion. So if you've noticed, we move to the front, we move to the back, we move to the side, and now we're doing these rotation movements, right? And in this rotation, we rotate one leg to the opposite side, to the opposite side. Okay? All right, so that's just our beginning. So now how can I add a little bit more to these lunges? Well, I can do this for my anterior lunges. Remember, I said as the moving leg goes forward, the support leg has to stretch to make that happen. So to get more for my money, I can add my arms swinging up, and I can come back. Now I'll do the other side. My arms swing up, and I come back. So we need to extend through the spine, especially through that rib cage spine, and the arms have to swing up overhead. Now, when you do it this time, do you feel how you get a little bit more stretch in that hip? So I'm going to freeze here, arms up. This hip feels more open, stretched, right? As the arms and spine are swinging up. And maybe that will allow me to bend deeper on the other leg. That's flexing. So see, you can still keep head over pelvis. And when those arms go up, think shoulders relaxed, nice lifted rib cage. And think of lifting but not sticking your ribs out or arching your lower back. So here's where all our core stability comes into place. And these are our anterior lunges. Step it forward, step it back. Knee over the center of the foot, arms reaching up. And let those arms swing. Keep those abs engaged so your spine is nice and stable. All right, so that's our anterior lunge. Now we're going to do posterior. A little different in posterior. We're going to use, again, the arms to swing. But when we step back, remember I said the support leg, the one that doesn't move, right, has to bend to let that leg go back. So we're going to add the arms swinging down. We're also going to let the body flex and round forward to get more. And then we're going to step forward. Now I do the other side. Arms swing back, body rounds forward. And I come up, and I'm going to swing back and swing it up. I swing it back, and I swing it up. So step your leg back, let your spine round, your arms swing back, and the leg that doesn't move has to really bend and crease deep at the hip, so that hip will flex, allowing the other leg to extend back. These are good. And again, back and up, and swing it back, and swing it up, swing it back, swing it up, swing it back, swing it up. Okay, so hopefully you got that one, right? Let me just do it to the side. So when I come back, you see I'm rounding, and this hip is bending, that leg is back. I'll swing it up. I'll do one more. Back. You see how the support hip is bending. I'm rounding. This leg is driving back, and I come up. And when you bring your leg back, you can try to straighten the knee all the way, but the knee can also be a little bent. That's okay. But all the other stuff has to happen. So that's our anterior, and then our posterior lunges. So now we have our side lunges. Okay, so side lunges, remember we started and we didn't use any arms yet. We just took a side lunge to the same side and we said this foot should ground and this knee should stay over the foot. So how can we get a little bit more for our money? Remember I said the hips kind of swing this way, so just look at the direction of my arms, right? That's where the pelvis needs to go. So I can add this arm swing and this side bend in my spine to get a little deeper. Do you see it? To get deeper. Now I'm going to do the other side, and I'm going to swing and I come back. And I swing and I come back. Now I'm going to just do side to side. So I'm going to swing this way and I come back to center and I swing this way. So as I step, my spine is bending, my arms are swinging, right? And I think of just easily melting into the movement. So the hips are going to the side, and I swing the arms, I bend the spine. So we'll break it down a little bit more. As I step right with my leg, my spine is bending to the other side, my arms go to the other side. Then as I step left, my spine bends to the other side, so do the arms. So we do it again. And you can just keep your arms above you. I added more of a circular, but this might be a little simpler, I'm thinking, to learn it. So it's a side to side, and you side bend and side bend. And when you step, feel your pelvis moving, feel your spine easily bending. Sometimes when we think these thoughts, the movement gets better. Side to side. All right, so that's the same side lunge, but we can also do a cross lunge. So remember, we took this leg and we brought it across, and then we took the other leg and we brought it across. So we call that a cross lunge to the opposite side. My right leg is going to the left, right? And then my left leg, as I do my side lunge, is going to the right. So it's an opposite side cross lunge. So I can do the same thing here. When I bring my leg across, I want to feel that pelvis move and the spine move, and I can swing my arms that way. I do it again. And sometimes we call this the curtsy position that we see in a lot of our fitness classes. It's a beautiful move. So when you bring the leg across and the spine bends to the opposite side, you want to feel that nice movement, that nice side bend. All right, so I did several on one side. We do the other side and see how you move versus one side versus the other side. So now the arms, spine are bending to the left as my left leg crosses to the other side for our cross lunge. And you want to breathe and bend. Make sure you're not just moving your arms. We're looking for the flexibility through that spine. So the thoracic spine is bending. The arms are coming across. Now we're going to do side to side. It almost looks like it could be part of a dance, right? It's very beautiful. And you breathe. Then we go to one side and the other side. And one side and the other side. One side and the other side. Make sure your knees stay over the centers of your feet. Your spine is still upright, but it's just bending from side to side. So we have a nice dynamic flow and stretch, but strength through the movements. We're not falling from side to side. Whew, all right. So I hope you got that one. That's very pretty, right? And you practice it. How deep can you get into it? Sometimes when we go faster, you might lose a little bit of your range. So you might want to just practice slowly and see how deep you can go. Right? And then you can start to pick up speed. Okay, so now we do rotation. Remember we learned rotation to the same side, and as I explained, when we pick up this leg and move this leg, the support leg doesn't move, and the support leg is going through external rotation. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to rotate back, and I come back to center. Now, how can I get more for that? I'm going to take my arms in front of me, and I'm going to swing them so that my spine is now twisting right to the same side as I externally rotate this left hip, the stance hip. So I'm going to externally rotate, come back to center. And by swinging my arms, turning my trunk, I may get a little bit more for my money. Do you see it? And I rotate. I'm doing several on one side, just so we can see it. One more, rotate, come back to center. Now I'm going to rotate to the other side. So arms in front, and I'm going to rotate, and I come back to center and rotate back to center. So now my right leg, the one that's not moving, standing, is externally rotating as I take my left leg and my spine and my arms, and I rotate to the same side. Whew. And center, rotate and center. Turn your waist, turn your head, rotate and center. All right, so now if I can rotate to the same side, I can rotate to the opposite side. So now the leg that's moving is going to, this right side is going to rotate. I'm going to be facing my left, and it's internal rotation of the stance leg for those who like the anatomy. All right, so here we go. We're going to step forward, and I'm going to rotate, and I bring my arms now to rotate across, and now it's a spine twist, right, to that opposite side. And my arms are also twisting with the spine to that opposite side. So I rotate, I come back to center, rotate, back to center, rotate, back to center, rotate, back to center. So that's one side. Now I'm going to do my rotation to the other side. Now my support leg will be the right leg. That will be internally rotating. My left leg is going to come around. Arms in front. I'm going to rotate and back to center. I'm rotating to my opposite side. So as my left leg moves and I rotate, I'm now rotating to face my right side. And I rotate, I come back to center. My arms and spine are doing the rotation. You see it? I rotate, come back to center, rotate, come back to center, rotate, back to center, rotate, and back to center. All right, now let's see if we can do, we'll go from side to side. So I don't know if I showed that on the other side. So I'll go back to my external rotation. I'm going to externally rotate. Externally rotate. I'll do that a couple more times. External rotation. External rotation. Now I'm going to internally rotate to the other side. Internal rotation. Rotate. And these are the rotations to the opposite side. But I did them one by one. I'll do that one more time to see if you can follow me. So we're going to go one to the right, one to the left, right to the same side, and then we're going to go one to the left, right, opposite side. Did you figure that out? Don't worry, I'm here with you. So here we go. We rotate to the same side, rotate to the same side. I'll do that twice more. Rotate, same side, rotate, same side. Now it's the opposite side. Rotate, and notice the arms are basically doing the same pattern. Rotate and rotate. Woof. All right, so we can play around with all these lunges. Now that you've learned them today, we're just going to go back to the top. Let's see if we can do one side then the other. So this will be just my little brain tease for the day. Let's see if I can do it. I don't know if I can do this. It's hard. So I'm going to do my anterior lunge, right? Then I'm going to do my posterior lunge, my side lunge to same side, my cross lunge to opposite side. I'm going to rotate same side, rotate opposite side. All right, so we do that with one leg. Let me do it one more time. And let's add the arms, right? So I'm going to anterior lunge up, posterior lunge down. Then it's rotate to the same side, right? Rotate to the opposite side. Then I'm going to rotate same side, rotate opposite side. Woo, I think I got that. All right, I'm going to do the left leg now. So we'll do one set without the arms and then with the arms, right? So it's kind of fun. You're learning almost like a dance step, right? But they're really the 6 basic lunges, the 6 patterns of movement that our body can go through in all the different planes of motion. So let's do left. We're going to anterior lunge front, posterior lunge back, same side lunge lateral to the side, cross lunge opposite side. I'm going to rotate to the same side. I'm going to rotate to the opposite side. Very good. Now we add the arms. Ooh, here we go. We're in anterior lunge front, and then back posterior, then same side, then the lunge crosses laterally, then I go internal rotation, and then, external rotation, same side, internal rotation, opposite side. Whoa, so I caught myself there at the end. I think I was so good, I got them all, but then you see, you get confused because it gets confusing. And the most important things are to understand the movement. So just one more time, anterior lunge, knee over foot, this front hip has to open. When the arms come up, I'm looking for extension through my thoracic spine, right? Good core placement stability. When I go to my posterior lunge to the back, I swing my arms down. I'm looking for bending of my support leg. That's this left one. I'm rounding my spine. The leg that's behind is extending back strongly. My arms swing back. When I go to the side, I take a nice step. The hips move, right? I'm going to actually abduct this hip. Haven't talked about that. Adduct this one. And then we add a lateral side bend to the other side to get the most for our money. And I'll do that to the other side. Ooh. And then with our cross lunge, we cross. And now when I cross, my hips are going this way. I'm adducting this support hip, the one that's not, when I come across. Yes, this hip, the one that doesn't move, is adducting, and I'm taking a nice side lunge, and I'll do the other side. And you want to get that bend, right, in the spine and the arms, the bend at the knees, and you come back to center. Now we do our rotation to the same side. That's external rotation, right? And I make sure that my stance leg is still in place as I turn my spine, my arms. I come back to center, and then I do my internal rotation, which is to the opposite side. So this leg comes across, and I'm turning my body, turning my arms, knee over the foot, and I come back to center. All right, so I hope you got something out of that today, learning your 6 lunges. Look for them in other LindaFit Pilates workouts. Maybe I'll even do a real anatomical breakdown for my anatomy lovers. Okay, guys, practice them, have fun, be well, and I'll see you next time.